I'm so happy to see everyone. Hi. Hi,
Hi.
Marisa. Oh my gosh, so good to see your face.
So good to see you.
Marisa was a gem in the past. And here's Lauren and Melinda. And Maritza's also Ashanti's old orchestra director from high school. Lauren and Melinda and Liz and Ashanti are all current gems. You'll learn. All
Awesome. Nice to meet you guys. Hi, Ashanti.
You know what?
Hello.
I was pondering this morning if I should get my eyebrow pierced, Ashanti. Maybe it should be like a DYV teachers thing. It's so good.
I think you should get it on a corner. On the corner.
Okay.
Ooh, and get one right here. Get one everywhere. It'll look great. Get a couple of them.
I could.
Yes.
I'm in a new space. The internet still is not working, even though I got a new router yesterday. And it's just still not working. So the tech person's coming tomorrow. And I just like spent all my childcare time finding where I could go for right now. And my friends nearby had their downstairs apartment free. And with this, like, and I'm wearing a pink shirt today. So, like, this is just. I brought over our Dr. Suzuki painting and our candle. So we have those things.
Yeah, that's really cool. Is that a fireplace behind you, or yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, like look at the rest of it. This is old Detroit homes.
Ooh, I love that. It's so cool. The archway.
That's cool, and I like Lauren's background today. I don't think I've seen that one. It's really pretty.
Yeah, too. I guess I haven't been home since I was only home.
That's a sign you're home.
Mhm.
I like want to start the intros already, but we should wait. Maybe one more moment. Um, let's see. Um, Look at my table full of shit that I'm ready to share. And my host even brought candy. I feel so cared for. Gosh. And it's actually someone related to our fiduciary, our fiscal sponsor. He works there, but also is married to an old friend. Um, so the community does provide. Hi, Alexis. Okay, so all the most important people are here. So we're gonna start just by lighting our candle. And then we'll do some breathing. So I had planned to give a little introduction about where how GEMS started, but I think all of you kind of know, but I will do it again, just a little bit. Reminder, in July 2020 was when the Suzuki Association of the Americas president at the time put out a statement following the death of George Floyd, and it was just too watered down. It didn't say enough, and she did it without any consulting with anyone at all. And there was a big outrage, and the board scrambled within less than 24 hours and said, okay, we'll do a Zoom meeting to address all your concerns, and sent an email out that said, how can we be a more anti-racist organization? What steps can we take? And everyone was given a minute and a half to speak if you signed up beforehand. And it still was awesome because there was like over 400 people there, and they had to do another one because some people found out and wanted to go. And I saw more people of color than I've ever seen at any Suzuki conference in my life, and realized there was a lot more allies in the Suzuki community that all wanted to make changes. And I gave out my phone number at that meeting and said, okay, let's not wait for the powers that be to get their stuff together, and let's just start doing the work now, because I have some ideas that I've been doing and I would love to share with you. And then I gave everyone my number. And then a lot of people reached out, and I realized I need to do something more formal, and that's how GEMS came about. But even before GEMS, after that meeting, another Suzuki teacher and I, Bruce Walker, who's now on the Suzuki board, started a think tank for people to just come to and come up with ideas we can use now to nurture our studios with diversity, access, and inclusion and equity. And then these graduation ceremonies are that still. So they're a graduation ceremony, but they're also a think tank that any music teachers can come to. Sorry. And when you're in a group chat with two other moms and they start talking about stuff, you can't stop them. I literally don't even know how to turn that off too. Maybe I can try. Okay. So since then, like, a lot of good things have happened. I just want to review, and I don't know if you know this, Maritza, but they just hired a new CEO for Suzuki who used to work for El Sistema as their interim CEO. So she's like, do you know her? Angelica Cortez used to work with Yola in LA, like youth orchestra stuff. Like she's like us. Like she's worked with youth in urban places and done a lot of equity work and figuring out processes for accountability and safety and equity for the organization she's worked with. And she's a queer Latina woman. So that's like nothing Suzuki has ever had leading. And I'm so happy about that. And every Suzuki journal has had people of color on the cover, youth and teachers, for the past year. And I remember telling you guys, like, when Isabella was on the cover, it was the third Black person they ever had on the cover since they started the magazine in the 70s. So things are, I mean, this is aesthetics, but the covers, but the articles also are getting like using language I've never seen in the journals, like combating racism with music, accessibility and inclusivity of Black youth in classical music, student perspective. There's like a lot more calls for youth to submit writing. This issue is all contributors who've never written before, so it's like not the old guard. So like, yeah, I'm excited for things to move forward with Suzuki and beyond, of course. Everything's not just Suzuki. So let's just do some of these affirmations to get a little the good old affirmations, Maritza. I am growing equitable music studios. Healing powers lie within me, and I use music to access them. Everything that I need to succeed is already within me. Doors of opportunity and abundance open to me now. I am thankful for all of my blessings, and I share them with others happily. I use my head to live with heart. I listen to the wisdom within myself. I live by my inner knowledge and strength. I am allowing of myself to be great. I am an amazing person. Good job, everybody. All right. So let's do a little go around and share, including Marisa, about your teaching scenario, how many students you are teaching right now, where you are, and what that looks like private lessons, group classes, instruments. Yeah, let's start with Ashanti.
Hello. Okay, so I guess I won't be teaching till around September. And I think I'll have around 9 to 10 students, two which will be, what's the term? Free. I guess in between then I will be continue practicing, building up to this teacher status and working on my communication skills with the big words you guys be talking about. Learn how to put that in a sentence and I'll be okay. Yeah, and yeah. What was the other question?
I love
If
it.
there were any.
What instruments?
I guess my main focus is my regular three, the violin, occasionally viola, but especially guitar. I've been amping up on that one. So
Cool. And you're hoping to get the Suzuki teacher training before fall.
yes, most definitely.
Thank you. Okay. Then Alexis. Sorry, you were supposed to go first. So I always forget.
Oh, it's totally okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm Alexis. I'm teaching violin some viola and cello. At I'm teaching at an academy where I kind of like am building my own private studio, like within that academy, in Portland, Oregon. And I also teach a few hours a week at an El Sistema based program, and mostly my role there at this point is teaching private lessons to like just a handful of the students who have like been showing up as like, super, like they've been like super loyal even through the pandemic, everything. So they're getting private lessons now, which is like a big development for the program. But they're also like in an orchestra and everything, but I don't teach any of that anymore. I just do lessons. And I think between my Bravo students and my private students at the academy, I have, I think I have like 24 students or so now. Yeah, I don't remember what else I'm supposed to say.
That's it.
Thanks.
That's, is it Melinda?
Hi, I'm Melinda. I'm in New Mexico, southern New Mexico, near Texas and the border of Mexico. And my Suzuki instruments are flute and recorder. I just recently got trained. I used to teach a lot of flute, but that's kind of been on hold. And then before the pandemic, I was teaching fitness and dance type things. I'm also trained in Zumbini and other modalities of early music education. I'm hoping to transition to online teaching and hopefully groups and private, probably by the fall, hopefully.
Yeah.
What else? Was that everything?
I think so. And you're hoping to do lessons and group classes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And everyone should know that Melinda plays the folk harp.
Yeah, it's back there. I try anyway.
All right. Liz and then Maritza.
Hi, I'm Liz. So yeah, I teach. I live in Baltimore City, and I direct my own studio. It's called Be More Strings. I have about like 20 students now through my own studio, and I also teach about 2 days a week through like more kind of corporate infrastructure, like Music and Art Center. They're run by Guitar Center. So I'm teach 2 days a week, more like in the suburbs, like Annapolis and DC suburbs. So twice a week I commute. Otherwise, I'm teaching where I live in Baltimore City. And yeah, so my goal is in September to have like three full scholarships available to students, and get some funding for that, apply for some grants, stuff like that, and do some like grassroots fundraising too, to also help cover like my rent costs for my studio, and just other things. But what else? Yeah, I teach violin and viola mostly. And yeah, I think in the spring I'm gonna officially start my Suzuki training with Book One. So passed the audition. That was like the biggest thing for me. I'm like, thank God. Passed the audition, but yeah, and so yeah, I'm cleared for that. So hopefully I'll be able to do like the book training. Like Book One. Maybe do like 2 books a year kind of thing to get it done.
And tell them about your personal art forms.
Oh yeah, like me being kind of like an artist. So yeah, I'm an artist or musician, composer. I do like kind of yeah, it's kind of like classic, kind of like performer composer. It's like mostly instrumental, me playing my instrument and kind of electroacoustic pedals, kind of like a soundscape type um, environment. And yeah, we also chatted about like with fundraising at shows, I could have like my like, a donation QR code at shows like on a merch table or something, to kind of get the word out. I think that would be good. But yeah, as my artist, I go by like Liz Meredith. That was like, before I got married. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone here's an artist in their own right, apart from teaching too. I should have let Alexis describe her stuff too. Cellist, singer, songwriter. Other words you would use to describe?
I just write sad songs about boys, and I play the cello and sing, and yeah.
While standing on a train track.
Oh my
You
gosh.
could expand by writing sad songs about girls too.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, girls never let me down. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's funny whenever my students like find me on the internet. I'm like, yeah, she's a sad girl. She's writing like Taylor Swift songs over here, like. But I'm so
Sis
excited
got
to
back.
hear Liz's music. I really wanna hear what you're making.
Yeah, I'll email you like some links.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if I have your email address, but yeah, I think maybe I'll trade email addresses maybe at the end of this. Or
You
something.
do. Okay, I'll
Okay.
drop it in the chat on
Ooh.
the emails too. But well, I emailed you guys like a shit ton of stuff the other day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like they need this and they need this and they need this. Welcome back, Lauren. Um, would you like to
Yes.
share? That's okay. Your where you are and about your teaching scenario and how many students you have right now in your instrument.
Yeah, sure. So my instrument's the violin. I live in Kigali, Rwanda, in the east part of Africa, and I have about 10 or so students. It's a little bit fluid on and off how many I have. And yeah, my situation is kind of like I'm at the beginning, maybe studio, figuring out how I want that to work and how it fits into the context of where I live.
Thank you. So, Maritza and Marion, you can also share about your teaching scenarios.
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Maritza, and I'm the director of orchestras at Detroit School of Arts. Ashanti was my principal violist for all 4 years of high school. Violist.
Yeah.
Ashanti's an amazing violist, amazing violinist, amazing singer-songwriter, super talented, very proud of him. And I teach group. I know, blushing over here. I'm just so proud of you. That's why I came to your GEMS graduation. I teach groups, I teach orchestras, I teach a music theory class. My students range from very beginner to advanced. I have the tiniest orchestra I've ever had. My program has been slowly dwindling. Middle schools have been kind of dropping their string programs here in Detroit, and I don't really have any feeder schools, so basically expected to like promote and recruit all of my students, which is difficult when there are some like major legacy schools in the neighborhood, so these are schools that generations of Detroiters have gone to, that like all the Motown stars went to, and so everyone's like, it's hard, it's difficult. This is like it's a very, I call it like the smallest big city. Everybody in the music world here knows each other and is involved with each other in some way or another, whether that's a good or a bad thing. So, but yeah, I have about a dozen students at the moment. I've been recruiting within the high school, recruiting students from other fine arts majors in my school to join the orchestra. And that's my teaching situation. I'm also a sound artist. I build like analog synthesizers and noise things. My partner and I play music, and we just post it on YouTube for my 30 followers or whatever. Right, is actually editing our set from like last weekend. But yeah, and I'm also a grad student. I love to pile too many things onto my plate. That's what I'm best at. So, and I'm also a violinist.
Yay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I said right after I graduated from drums that I was going to do my Suzuki training, and then I got caught up in applying to grad school. But Ashanti, if you're doing the Suzuki training this summer, I'll do it.
Oh, that would be amazing if you were in the same class.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better do it.
Let's look into it. You guys can like drive to Blue Lake together.
That would be, oh my God, a road
It's
trip.
in Blue Lake.
There's they do some at Blue Lake, yeah.
That'd be cool. If
Road
not,
trip.
I'm take my burgundy bus.
We're taking the green machine.
I'm going to be tapping you later to maybe offer some tangible solutions for equity, Maritza, since I know some of the things you've done. Oh, and Lauren, I didn't let you talk about your band. Do you want to tell us about the band that you're in?
Do I want to tell you about what?
The band that you're in?
Well, I'd say I'm in like a variety of music groups because there's like up in music videos but yeah, part of my playing experience has been into a plethora of really interesting projects and music videos and collaborations. So yeah, I do a little bit of that too. So it's been an interesting experience to kind of push my limits on what I've learned as a Suzuki kid to adapt to whatever gets thrown my way playing here.
Love it. And she lives in an artist collective.
Yeah, or that's the goal. I don't know what else.
And they do dance classes too, right? Or is that one of the places you teach?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I do, and other people do. So whoever would like to, okay.
Oh, I love it. Yay. Everyone here is so cool. And so let's hear from Marion about where you're at and how many students you have in your teaching scenarios.
Hi, everybody. I was supposed to be in this cohort, but I had a scheduling conflict because I just got a sort of job teaching in an after-school program in Baltimore City Public Schools. Now I am the lead teacher for that program. And I had, before I was doing all of that, and I still have my own private studio, and I have done a lot of work, Clara, on retooling the website and making space for and saying what my mission is and making space for people to donate and to help garner interest for supporting students who might want what I do in my studio, but might not be able to afford it, or might not be able to get to it easily. For whatever's limitation there is for them. I'm working on removing those obstacles. So I had, this time last year, I had 16 students in my studio, and now I'm about to drop down to half of that, because I've had so many students, families leave either the state or leave the country during the pandemic. I've got my next group to depart is going to be moving back home to Matsumoto. They're at the Talent Education Institute, and I got them for 3 years instead of 2 years because of the pandemic. I'm getting some interest from families in the area, but definitely I've noticed a downtick, just like Maritza and other people here, I'm sure as well. There's been quite a downtick in inquiries and interest. I think everybody is still sort of sorting themselves out. I did lose one family to Peabody, which I am cool with because I'm only one person. I can't be in a complete institution, and they wanted bigger. So if you want bigger, you go to Peabody. But I did get some really nice comments about my teaching, so I'm going to totally use those as testimonials on my website.
Yeah.
And that's where I am now, and I'm talking with the program director for the program that I'm in, for the after school program that I'm doing now, about offering a summer study program for either students who would like to continue their studies until next fall, or are interested in it, but they were already committed to other after school activities. And I'm working on figuring out how we can offer that for no money, just like the program in the school. And I'm one of the sites that this program is offered at is an elementary school that's I can work through that school if I get a foot in the door there, to maybe use that as a base for students who want to get, and I have a plan to do a questionnaire for parents and see if maybe I can move this for some people from a after school program just for students to one that maybe draws parents in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And has more of a studio feel to it and less of a just this is something that you're going to do after school until I'm done with work thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but I would like to see if I have a plan. I'm going to be sneaky and see if I can't introduce some of that Suzuki culture that I think is really great into an after school program.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you. Happy to have you.
Thanks, Clara. I'll be there in May.
Okay. So I was thinking that we're going to just go through the 5 concepts that we talked about in the past few months, and different gems will pipe up and give the nuts and bolts action that was impactful for them within the concepts. And then there can be questions from the audience or like other gems, and then like last thoughts, and then closing up at 3:30 or a few minutes before. But before we get right into that, I just wanted to offer space for people to talk about like what was most impactful for you about gems in general for a couple minutes. Does anyone want to? I was gonna try to do a Wordle like Melinda tipped me off to, but I didn't have internet to figure out how to do it before. So it's not going to be that technically cool. Everyone's just going to come off mute and say a few things if they want to.
Well, I guess one of the few things that I admire is that I guess I get to look up to y'all. Y'all already know so much, and I'm just starting off as just this regular teenager. I guess it's been cool knowing that I don't know. It's like I'm in a support group for teachers.
Yeah.
I guess also I don't know. I feel very lucky that I got to start off now, rather than later. Come on, and scene. So yeah, I guess that's about it. You didn't miss much, Clara.
Okay. No gap year. Just getting right into the teacher training. Right. Okay. I'm really happy you're here too, Ashanti. Um, yeah, I've gotten a lot out of it, and being able to do this for like part of my life work. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it if you guys didn't show up and want to do it. So, thank you for helping me keep going with this for the second year. This is the 2-year anniversary.
I'll go next while my internet is still like okay before I develop it. But yeah, I think the biggest benefit for me is just kind of to take the time to get all of the thoughts that are in my brain out and somewhere to figure out how to make them work and how to work in the context that I'm in. And I don't really have an example of what I would like to do, or like a studio for lessons doesn't really exist in a full capacity here. So figuring out how does that work and how I can make it successful and sustainable in ways that like, oh, it is possible that I can do this and not have to have like 86 other jobs unless I just want to, which I probably will still do anyways. But just yeah, figuring out how to make that work and being able to see all the details and seeing how your mind works and how you've been able to do that and kind of have a plan to follow has been really great and inspiring for me.
Yay. Thank you.
I can go next. I feel yeah, just so grateful for this group. I loved the format of it. I loved like seeing each other at the beginning and the end of the week, and just kind of like, you know, there's like accountability that needed to be there, that was really like supportive, but also like really understanding, where we were all just kind of like, okay, I didn't really get to this, or I didn't understand this. And like there was all this like, I don't know, just like a lot of openness um and yeah, I don't know. I just really appreciate that dynamic in something like this, instead of like pretending like like we're not incredibly busy people doing 10,000 things every day. Like we're like, oh my god, this is so overwhelming to me, and then people being like, yeah, and that's okay, and supporting that in each other. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know, I mean, I've been in the last few years especially just super aware of what it is that I'm really offering my students. And I think for 10 years, I was just kind of going with the flow and teaching out of the Suzuki book, and like not really questioning anything, not really thinking about like, I think I've had students, and I still have students that I like offer a scholarship to, but it was always just like scholarship, meaning like I'll just teach you for free, and like, and to kind of like question not only like what it is that I'm teaching my students, which has kind of been my focus for the last 2 years, has been just like trying to diversify the rep and like the actual like content that I'm giving them, but also like, yeah, making sure that I'm taken care of too. And this has like helped me admit to myself that like there's more that I need to be offering myself as well to like be able to be a better teacher. You know, like I want to I need to like be able to sustain my own life in order to like be a solid teacher for these kids, and to have boundaries, and to have you know, to be able to have these like limitless resources for my students is like really important to me, but like I can't be like emptying myself. So this project, this group has been just like really hitting a lot of nails on the head for me, and being like, okay, like here's a very clear path and a very clear project that I need to give attention to in order for me to like really land where I want to land. And I think just in general, like equity, like trainings, I said this to you, Clara, the other day, that it's just like we spend how many professional developments that are like within our organizations that we already work for, where you spend like most of the time just talking about like just the fact that white supremacy exists, or just the fact like, you know, it's like you spend an hour and 45 minutes talking about the problem, you know, and then you spend the last 10 minutes in like despair, just like having existential dread, and then just being like, okay, well, what do we do about it? And then you're exhausted, and then you don't have another professional development for like 2 more months or something, if you're lucky, you know? And so it's like, I think with this training, it was really nice to like just run into it and be like, this is the problem, and like now we're gonna spend 6 weeks talking about how we can actually attack it, you know? And like that's just been my frustration for years with development things like this, you know? So I'm really grateful for the actual like, I just want to like, I want to get to work. I want to like do it. So I've never had a training that actually tackled it the way that we have done. So thank you, Clara.
Mhm. Thank you. Anyone else want to say anything? General? Gems?
Yeah, I think it's been great. I like, you know, the supportive aspect of it has been really nice. And yeah, I really think I've learned a lot, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So let's get started. Or Melinda, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the amount of information and the concepts have been really great. You've provided us with so much stuff, and I'm definitely going to go back to all of that. And then the opportunity to be able to, you know, align your personal values in and find a way to put that, you know, into your professional work is awesome. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Cool. So Ashanti, I wanted to respond to something you said earlier about like using big words, and um, I just remember being really struck by something you said, Maritza, at the end of Gems, and I think you were in like my first cohort ever. Yeah. And you were like, I just realized that I've been doing this, but I didn't know like that I could own it like this and be like, yeah, I'm a social justice based teacher. Um, and just to have the the word sometimes and is helpful. So you're not the only one, Ashanti. Like part of what this is to help all the teachers feel less alone who want to do social justice work, because I felt alone for many years in going to some conferences and being like, but why are we talking about how like there's no Black kids here and we're in Minneapolis? um, so I love that I can create a space where we can talk about that stuff, because that's what I needed to. So thanks for coming. And the first thing that we talked about in GEMS was studio culture and like creating that space where people don't feel alone. And it's like your place that is going to be reflecting your social justice values, and a place where all those people are you're gonna feel seen by them. So it's for you, not just for the children, even though it is for the children too. But creating a place where we can all practice living in the world we want now. And one of the things that we talked about with tangible nuts and bolts for nurturing a studio culture, where it's like unsaid knowledge about the values that we all have within the space and how we are to behave within the space, is to put up art on your walls that like has some of that messaging. And I found this this had a bunch of posters in it. All of these posters were inside this folder, but I found the examples so you can see a Just Seeds artist cooperative collection of posters that were specifically about education. I don't know if you can see everything, but I'm just and I was able to get a donor to buy all of these and just put them all up on the walls. This is a Detroit artist.
Is this a cooperative from Detroit?
No, they're from all over the country. This is the name, Just Seeds.
Okay, thanks.
And they have a website, and there's tons of art on there. But you can buy like this collection of posters that's already curated about liberated learning, So that's one source. And I was going to ask Lauren if you would talk a little bit about the idea of studio culture and that was empowering for you just to like decide you can make it exactly how you want it.
Yeah, sure. So one of the kind of struggles that I've been having in trying to get everything together is kind of there isn't really any kind of studio culture as far as learning instruments. It's something that's new for a lot of people. Like, I think Rhonda has gotten past like people trying to get to their basic necessities. So parents are looking for their kids to be able to do extracurriculars, but there isn't a formal structure for that. So I've kind of been making myself nuts, ending up going to people's houses and teaching them privately, because that's kind of the culture that's been established by people coming from abroad that are, diplomats or government workers that want for their kids to be taught privately at home. And I've been trying to work on making a shift on that too. Like, we're going to have a space where kids can come and have that be a musical or like creative space, I guess, for me, where it's important for them to interact with each other and to be able to have a space that's just dedicated to music that's just not at home. And I think it allows for my students who are from Rwanda to be able to meet and collaborate with students who are from other countries, because I have students who are from almost all of the continents, maybe not Australia. So just being able for them to be in the same space outside of their own individual homes and culture, I think is really important for me and what I'm trying to do. So that was impactful to be able to talk about that, and for me to be able to think about how can I structure this and set limits for myself to say that this is how I feel my students are going to best learn and grow, and how can I frame this and tell this to parents so they value that too. So it's been a good process for me to work through that and figure out how I want for my community to work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And then we talked a lot about sustainability in the first week as well. And I have a book to share, a kid's book that can nurture the studio culture of our value for sustainability. And that starts with also showing like we are treating ourselves kindly and giving ourselves enough rest time so that we can sustain the work in the long run. So this book is called So Few of Me, and it's like pretty funny. Leo was a busy lad, and no matter how hard they worked, there was always more to do. And then they made a list, but then the list just never ended. And then another Leo came along, and then there was more and more Leos helping, but then they just ended up just working more and more and more and more and more and more and more, working furiously. Even when there was 10 of them, we couldn't get everything done. So the original Leo was exhausted and slips away to take a nap. And they say Leo awoke to 9 other Leos staring. "What are you doing?" they demanded. "I was dreaming," Leo said softly. "Dreaming was not on the list," they roared. Leo smiled, still savoring the dream. The Leos disappeared one by one. Leo wondered, what if I did less, but did my best? Then one Leo is all I need, just me, just one, with time to dream. So I wish that for all of you. And this is a good one to put in the classroom and counter, like subvert the dominant paradigm of like, yeah, classical musicians, they just work really fucking hard all the time. It's just like really intense and like, well, you can play violin here. And like, also we believe in sustainability because like we want the revolution to actually keep going, and like we want to win. So we're not going to burn out.
Clara, is the author's name Peter Reynolds again?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
And I think he wrote The Dot and Ish. If you guys have heard of those ones, they're like artsy ones that are good to artists. So Alexis, could you share a little bit about your ideas for making the work more sustainable for you?
Yes. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is that I'm also a big advocate for therapy and having your own time to do that. I think that was maybe my first step when I was really starting to build my own schedule. It was like, it felt really important to like put that, like when I have my schedule like printed out, like even my students can see like my weekly schedule that I have like on my desk when they come in, and I have like therapy like written, like I have therapy on Wednesdays at this time, and like my students see that too. I think that just sets a really good example. And then I have students who tell me about their therapy sessions and stuff. And like, I also feel like the energy that I give off in my studio, like I have this like couch in my studio that like everybody, like when they sit down on it, whether it's my friends or my students, they just like plop on the couch and they're just like, oh, I have so much to tell you. Like it's just like they're just like unpacking whatever they need to unpack, and I love that. And so I become a little bit of a therapist too. But it's just like it's an honor to me to be able to know that like a person, a student, especially like a young, most of my students are female, and they're just like they're these like important ages, and to know that they're like looking to me to like open themselves up. And I think that comes from me being open about my own, like the fact that that I do therapy every week, and it helps a lot. And also just like giving myself 2 days off. And I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like so depressed, honestly, that I like didn't want to like do anything except work, because it was like the only thing that I could access outside of my little pod. So I was like, I'm gonna go to my studio again today. I'm gonna like work on this random thing all day, or I'm gonna like go to the studio and teach a random online lesson, like and just like when I could have just had the whole day off. But I was like, no, I need to work. I need to work. There's like definitely some like internalized capitalism in there, but also like just this like denial of kind of reality, I think. And so once I started healing, I think, from that, and was like, okay, I don't work on Mondays anymore. Like the end. Like I don't respond to texts about work. I don't respond to emails on Mondays, and that's the day. And even if it's just one day a week that I dedicate, like that's okay. And that's leaps and bounds beyond like the boundaries that I had a few years ago. So yeah, that's really important to me. And also just knowing that I don't know, I feel like, Clara, you've mentioned before that like in the past you would like be giving rides to students and like being like, I'll drive you home and I'll pick you up and I'll do this and I'll do that. And I feel like when you said that, I was like, I am literally so close to being on that level. Like with my students, especially in the pandemic, I would like drop stuff off at their houses if they needed a book or a copy of music or whatever. And like, of course I'm happy to do that, but I'm also like not getting paid for that. And there's just like a line that I think I need to draw that's like a little bit darker. And think about those things, and just really being honest with how much work goes into being a teacher outside of teaching lessons, and that's the part that does feel like work, right? Teaching doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like a cool hang with all my students. So it's like the actual work that I'm doing is the thing that I should be getting paid for, So I think just being really honest with what you deserve has like been my biggest, like more broadly, the biggest takeaway.
Good.
Yeah. But therapy. We all
I know, I love that was the first thing.
huge fan of therapy.
And you're gonna start paying yourself for administration
Yes.
as part of the fundraising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I think you should get paid for the therapy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just make them reimburse me. I joke about that too with my with one of my coworkers at the nonprofit I work at. I'm like, can I just send them reimbursement forms for the cigarettes that I have to smoke after? They're like $11. Like they're so expensive in Oregon. And I was like, I should just put this on my supply list for this place.
I'm going on a year of doing yoga once a week during my work hours that I
Whoa.
pay myself for. And you know that like I do fundraising, grassroots fundraising to pay myself. So it's like a bunch of people who are giving $8 a month are like helping me sustain the work
Yeah.
because I'm like, when else am I gonna have childcare? I don't have extra childcare. I just have childcare from 1 to 6. So if I'm gonna do it, I have to do it during my work hours. And then I was like, why am I not doing it during my work hours? Like, aren't I trying to create some revolutionary model? And that includes sustainability. Like, I don't take lunch breaks. Most people get paid for lunch breaks and stuff. Most people get paid time off. I'm just going to do an hour of yoga on Tuesday afternoons before lessons. And I've done it like about 90% of last year. So
That's amazing.
that's another tangible thing y'all can do.
Just feeling like, the part where you feel like you have to justify it, like that's really hard to like, like you feel this guilt or something, or like they're like, this isn't allowed, but it totally is.
Yeah.
And you deserve it.
Thank you.
I guess all the things that you're doing, it'll be worth it in the long run because we still need you to do it. So if that means we got $8 a day, then we're gonna have to $8 a day.
$8 a month.
A day.
But a day.
They get Starbucks.
Wow.
$8 a day.
You should start a campaign. It's like, would you give $8 a day instead of monthly?
And if they say no, I'm like, I'm shutting
every day.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm shutting down Starbucks since y'all don't want to pay $8 a day.
Yeah.
Out of here. Get it out.
So before we move on to access, and Liz is going to talk about Fractured Atlas, her new fiscal sponsor, I want to say like something in response to what Marian was saying about losing students. Like, I think that having scholarship students is a model for sustainability because then you have like those 3 slots that are going to be covered. You're going to be able to pay yourself for them or however many you raise. And then even if those kids drop out, you can still pay yourself to plug new kids in from your wait list. And then like you're not just recruiting blindly and not paying yourself. And I was telling the gems that it's okay to keep paying yourself even if kids drop out of the scholarship slots because you're still going to be doing the administrative work during their lesson times to recruit new people. So like you don't have to lose money. So it's like a business strategy that actually provides a little bit more stability and sustainability to have part of your studio on full scholarship that you do the fundraising to support community support. So speaking of scholarship funds and making our studios accessible economically and like giving up on just word of mouth marketing and being more intentional about recruitment for diversifying our studios. The second week, that was our whole thing that we talked about in week 2 was access and expanding access. Mostly with just grassroots fundraising and the strategy of interdependence and emergence. And Liz just went for it immediately. I said, here's a tangible thing you could do, get a fiduciary so that you don't have to become a nonprofit. And you'll have donors that give and use the fiduciary's EIN number or 501c3 status so that they can still get tax write-offs.
Yeah, I felt like just really important for my studio to have I wanted like a permanent place that, people could go and donate And yeah, I plan to do grassroots like social media fundraising, but I feel like I'm not like super active on social media as much as I could. So I just worry it might not be like, I might not get, I don't know, too much like traffic with like Facebook or Instagram, but I'm still gonna do that. So I guess I went for like the physical sponsorship first, just to have like this like permanent place outside of social media. And I'm just gonna share just kind of like what I did with it. I haven't, like raised any funds or anything with it, but I'll just show you how I have it set up right now. Let's see here. Okay, so here's my studio site. Okay, can people see this here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I put like a donate link on my website here, and that takes you to, this is the Fractured Atlas like donation page that you create. And yeah, I just said share a little music by contributing to, Be More Strings music scholarship program. And I said what it goes towards, and I said that it's like, tax deductible. And it's cool because like this page has like these kind of frequently asked questions for like donors. So I feel like that is good. If they go here, they'll be able to see the questions, stuff like that. And
And it says they can cover the processing fee too,
yeah, that's
the
cool, right?
credit card, so that you save the 3%.
Yeah, it's really cool, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I initially signed up for Fractured Atlas. It's like $10 a month. And then I went right in to apply for the sponsorship. The big thing is like they said that they don't cover scholarships, so I was kind of worried. But it was mostly, I think, they don't want to cover like re-granting scholarships. But I made it clear this is, for my studio, for my own students, and it's for paying instructors for teaching, and paying for like lesson supplies. And yeah, it was approved, which is great. And yeah, so it's like about $10 a month. They have some like, I need to read more about the prohibited activity, but they said you can't fundraise through Facebook, I guess, with Fractured Atlas.
Okay.
Um,
So that just means if you're doing a Facebook fundraiser, you would not
like,
do a fundraiser for them on behalf of your studio. They wouldn't allow that. So that's interesting because my fiscal sponsor does allow that, but they also like lose the money sometimes. They're like, "Was that you? We have 150 different groups."
yeah.
So you
I
have
mean,
to
does
get
that mean
on.
that I can't go on Facebook and do my own kind of social media fundraiser? Or does that mean that I'm like barred from like Facebook?
Mhm.
Yeah, I wonder. I just need to read, I guess, read more of it.
But you can still promote this page on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like just do posts about it with a link.
Yeah, they have like these like prohibited activities, which I will read through. Um, Facebook is one of them, but I guess I'll promote it on there, share it on there. So I don't see like the issue really.
Mm-hmm.
Like share the donation site on Facebook. Like what's the difference really? Like,
Just like not setting it up through, yeah, so it goes straight to them, I guess.
yeah. So it's a direct link from this page. Just like
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, that's what I did.
Can you show us your application so we can see some of the language that you used?
Yeah, let me see. I was trying to look for that. Um, it was very short. Like I tried to keep it like minimal words. I did it like really quickly after one of our um, classes.
Well, that's awesome that you
Yeah,
didn't take too long doing it.
it was like very. It's like a little like the form's pretty like. Um, I think I put like my bio there, my own bio, my studio bio, and then I just said like I had to really specify like this is not a re-granting program, like these scholarships are for my own students. It's covering teaching fees for teachers. So let me see. Yeah, I program guidelines. Yeah, let me see if I can. I'm gonna stop the share for a second and see if I can find it. I may have to go to like a different part of this.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can go to user info. But yeah, so that's kind of the big thing I did, I guess. With that, let me see if I can. Maybe they emailed me a copy of that. Let's see.
Maritza, do you guys have a nonprofit, or are you doing stuff in a different way too?
We did not have a nonprofit. We did our Detroit Grooves thing through funding through the Knight Foundation because Detroit School of Arts was given or was awarded a huge grant, I think like maybe 10 years ago or so. And this is actually the last year for that money. So instead of, we wanted to do another Detroit Grooves thing in person, but it's just been too crazy. Like, going from in person to virtual feels like every other month has been really disruptive. So we did do something a little different this year. I started a new music ensemble at DSA, and we used some of that funding to do like a solar powered synthesizer workshop. So that's one of the things we did. And then Austin is going to come in and we're going to do like another, like, you know, I guess, I don't know, synthesizer building workshop, but they're going to make kind of like contact mic boxes with reverb and stuff. But yeah, we're just trying to use the funding we have available while it's there this last year. And then after that, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get into the nonprofit stuff. Everything's kind of up in the air. I started grad school and I'm like, I don't know if I can do anything else at the moment. And a full-time job, yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to tell more about the Detroit Grooves in a little bit.
No problem.
Thank you. So I want to clarify, like Maritza's done a bunch of projects, but did not have to start her own nonprofit. I keep saying, like, no one start your own nonprofit. Let's just get away from the nonprofit industrial complex, and because you can still get some grants without having that. And the Knight Foundation, actually, they have a fiduciary that you can use. So you don't even have to have a fiduciary for that one. And a lot of grants do offer that too. Chris is snow blowing. Okay, it's really loud. Okay, Liz is gonna share the application sometime. Maybe you could just paste it into the chat when you find it. Just to give us an example of some language. Okay, so we're moving on. I didn't really have anyone in mind to talk about the diversity piece because everyone has, like, we just don't need to belabor the reason that our studios need to be diverse. It's for everyone, every kid in the class benefits when they're learning in a diverse learning environment, and figuring out how to collaborate with people of all different backgrounds is like beneficial for every kid in there, which is why when we fundraise, it's for every kid. Like, we're supplementing every single kid in that studio, not just the ones that are getting full scholarships for paying you for their lessons. Like, the tuition payers are also benefiting and having their music education supplemented. And what we did talk about also representation being important in the books that you have in your studio. And Alexis had a couple books to share.
Yes, but they're all in my
She's going again, but this is her last turn.
No, I don't actually have them here because I'm not at
Okay.
my studio. But do you have that book? Because
I don't have it in here. I brought some other ones, but you can just share the titles.
yeah, yeah, that
But,
one was my favorite because I forget who wrote it.
and you're talking about because,
Oh, Willems.
yeah. And if anyone else has books about musicians that are not the dominant paradigm, you can put those in the chat.
Yeah.
And then you told us about Bio's violin.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to find the author of that. I always forget. It's really cute. Oh yeah, Kanisha T. Rice. And then Amanda Gorman just put out a little book, a children's book. I love having children's books around my studio, even for like last year I did group classes in the summer where and it was on Zoom, and I had I had grouped them by age, so I had my youngest group and then like my like middle school age group, and then I had my like high school kids, and I read them all a children's book. And like even your older students, like they can really settle in to that and they really enjoy it. And because there it is. Oh,
I do have one that you
yay!
brought up that I was going to show.
Yeah. It just feels like really calming, I think. And I think a lot of especially my high school students, they're always doing so much all the time. And there is a lot of like everything. It's so profound in a children's book. There's always this like really beautiful meaning behind everything. And a high school student, it's not lost on a high school student. And so, yeah. And it's calming. I think it's just calming for anybody if they're having a stressful day. Just like pick up a children's book and like nurture your inner child a little bit.
And this one specifically, like, yeah, we're change maker musicians. That's what I love about it. It's like we're using music to create the social change. And this one's like a poem too. And I like this one as a example of like our values for equity pedagogy. This part's so good. Change things where, there, inside of me. Love that one too. It's like each individual is important and has to see themselves as a change maker. I am just what the world needs. As it grows, we grow like seeds. I am the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring. We are the change we sing. We are what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? Well, yeah, of course she's a teacher. She wrote this, and her husband was in GEMS last time. Um, okay. So yeah, this kind of leads into the next concept about inclusion and I was thinking earlier about Grace Lee Boggs, author and activist from Detroit. She wrote The Next American Revolution, but the R is in parentheses. Um, and I got to see her speak once at a conference, and she was telling us that in the old days, in the 60s, when she was a young activist, everyone thought that change was like a one event. Like, if we go to this protest, it's just the revolution is going to be done. If we just all go. And she was like, young people who are leading the revolution now realize that it is gradual. So that's part of embracing that idea, embracing sustainability for the long run. And she also said the revolution used to be led by like angry men, and now it's led by women of color, queer people, and young people. And the idea is that every single individual is celebrated for what they're bringing, that whatever positive contribution they have, that's what a revolution is. So that really relates to inclusion for me, and I see inclusion also as another way of saying emergence, and this concept of how birds fly together without a leader, and it's non-hierarchical. Each individual is contributing and taking turns being leaders. So emergent strategy is like a thing that people study in nature now to see what kind of organizing strategies we can get from how nature does it, like how the moss makes these amazing patterns, and how the ants like do like make bridges with their bodies. We watched that one video about that, and we thought about some of the concepts from Adrienne Maree Brown's book, Emergent Strategy. And so it includes everyone. Like, we don't have to run our studios alone, is one of the nuts and bolts take homes. Is you don't have to make the decisions alone. You can practice inclusivity by like asking your students and parents what they want to do for everything. Like, what do you want to play at the recitals? What do you want to wear? What other activities should be happening? What kind of food should be there? It doesn't have to be that complicated. It's just like asking what people like and giving them a chance to show who they are uniquely as individuals, and as individual artists. So one of the teaching strategies that is a practice of inclusion we spoke about was just improvising, like this simple idea of improvising. Any type of improvising that you have your students do is going to be inclusive because it's their own music. No one else did it. And it also, well, it is influenced by like where they are placed culturally in their life experience. But if they don't get to make their own music, we'll never know what those influences were. And Melinda has done a lot of trainings for facilitating really accessible music making experiences. And I was hoping that you would share some of those.
Sure. I've been working with a group called Music for People, and we learn how to facilitate musical experiences for anybody and everybody, so it doesn't have to be just musicians or just professionals. It can be anyone. across the board. So, and we also have a collab lab where we do group composition individually. So we work with different programs like Soundtrap, add a line, and then people in our group, someone else will add a line. But some of the techniques we've used are things like doing a 1 minute solo where you have to have a beginning, middle, and end. It's a great strategy for kids so that they can kind of form a composition. Doing solos over a drone, so you can use like a Shruti Box app, or you can do it in partners and have one person be the drone and play one tone. Using the voice or an instrument to experiment with improv and making different types of sounds, not necessarily the pretty things that you think of, but extended techniques, and like using the flute percussively, or speaking with the voice instead of singing, or growling, or things like that. Rhythmic experimentation, using found instruments to make, you can do this with your group, actually, group lessons, to make a band or an orchestra, have them go out, and find something in the hallway, or, in the trash can, or whatever, bring it back. Going out into nature and finding something. I did this with a Native American flute program I was in, where we went outdoors, which was great, and everybody brought back something, whether it's a leaf or a stick or an ant or anything. Put it on a piece of paper, lay it out, and your group is going to make a little composition out of that, so you're playing the nature. Let's see what else. Doing other types of graphic representation of music, so you can draw like a spiral or a squiggly line or anything, and do that on your piece of paper, work in pairs, and your partner, you hold it up, your partner plays that composition that you wrote, and then you switch, or you turn it upside down or sideways or whatever. Using movement, leading and following, conducting. So that was pretty much everything I thought of off the top of my head anyway.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry I didn't get them all written in. Should have asked somebody. Put a few in the chat. So improv in general, we love it. And then we also talked about with inclusion, of course, we spoke about the repertoire of Suzuki and how it's not very representative of, it's not diverse in terms of the composers and the genre itself. And one of the strategies that I've used and Maritza uses is bringing in local musicians who are specialists in their genre, which has historical significance to the city, wherever you are. It's a place-based music making approach. And can you share about what is it called again?
Detroit Grooves. So last year during the completely virtual pandemic school year, my partner Austin and I put together a project called Detroit Grooves. And initially we wanted this to be like an in-person workshop series, but faced with online teaching for the first time ever, we ended up learning how to use video editing software, and we became like filmographers, and we did our own audio and interviews, and basically put together this 10 episode series, workshop series with Detroit artists. And so the aim of this digital workshop series, which is provided for students at Detroit School of Arts, was basically to continue their connection to Detroit-based cultural arts during the pandemic. And the focus was on local artists from Detroit, and the students got to interact with and learn about the impact of diasporic African and Black musical cultures in Detroit. So we had like a Detroit School of Arts alumni come in for a couple episodes and do like West African style drumming. We had some really well-known jazz artists from the city show their connections to like traditional African drum music and jazz. Yeah, here's an episode with Drummer B, who's a Detroit producer and DJ. We had a few DJ episodes. We had one episode with, or one workshop with a couple of Detroit jit dancers. And we had 2 episodes with a Detroit poet named Jessica Caremore. And it was really fun. Like, we invited the entire school population to come in on Fridays for like an hour-long workshop. And then we filmed the Q&A and just edited the thing and put it on YouTube. So all this is available on the internet. We have a Instagram. I think it's just called Detroit_grooves. At Detroit_grooves. And on YouTube, it's Detroit Grooves Project. And so this was one of my favorite episodes to film. The Halim Strings Rasul and B Girl Mama. They're awesome. They're just phenomenal dancers, and they're also married. And at the end, we had them like battle each other. They're like, we haven't done this in like 10 years. It was just really, really cute, super fun. Everyone was really kind and welcoming and opened, their spaces to us. And this was still, the point where vaccinations were like, the vaccine was like kind of just rolling out. And so we couldn't, I can't bring my students into these spaces. So we were able to, put something cool together for them. I think they enjoyed it.
Yeah. I didn't know you worked with them too. We've totally worked with them too. They were the dance teachers at the Soup Kitchen Peace Camp like years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
And they're the ones who like really taught me about, like, you can see on Mary's shirt, she has the 5 elements of hip hop. And like people can think off the top of their head, like, oh, DJing, MC, like beatboxing, but no one thinks of the knowledge one. And part of that was having knowledge about the history of hip hop and how rooted it is in community building and like interdependence in New York City, where one of the places it started, but just like plugging into a lamppost and coming together and doing things together. And it definitely is a huge social justice movement, and that's not something that a lot of people associate with hip hop. But that's when I started getting into hip hop more, is when I was doing more stuff with the artist activist community in Detroit, and being like, oh, these are my people as well, because they're into social justice, along with like the Dominican nun sisters over at the Soup Kitchen. Like, we're all just about social justice and community building.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone we got to work with was just like fantastic. I would love to bring, this program back, but I think if we did it again, we would have to, find funding elsewhere.
And I've been okay. So now I'm going to show you how I use
this episode here with Ife Bess. He's a drummer who used to perform in what's called Eastern Market. It's like a gigantic outdoor farmers market, and he's a very good friend of ours.
It's in the sound house. So you can see also in all these videos, there's like interaction with the artists and they're telling like the significance of the genre. And this is the part that's like us being intentional about developing a positive cultural identity in our students as citizens of there or as youth of color.
Yeah, and for most of the episodes, the artist was able to come in and interact with the students like on Zoom, and we would kind of facilitate a Q&A. I don't think we were able to do it with Ife. No, this was a quick like 26-minute episode, and so yeah, this one was we were supposed to be filming a different artist, and it was canceled like last minute, and so this space, the sound house, opened their doors for us, and like, you know, we were able to film an emergency episode. We produced that one in, I think, 24 hours. It was a little bit stressful. A tiny bit stressful, but it was very fun. And yeah, the cultural significance of focusing on like the African diaspora and Black musical cultures in the city is like, I mean, it's huge in Detroit. It's a predominantly Black city, and a lot of people, you know, there are so many ways that people express their Blackness and their culture through their art and music, and the variety is so huge, vast, and it's just, I think it's really important for everyone to kind of have a voice and share that with my students. You know, it's not something that you like typically see in the classroom, so it was a really fun project.
Thank you. So now we're going to hear from Lauren and about what a place-based music education project is going to look like for her in Kigali.
Oh, will you say that again?
Just tell us about the workshop that you're planning with the harp person, and when it's going to be is also really significant too.
So sure. So I don't really have like where my students have a recital or anything at the end of the year, but I'm hoping to kind of do like a kind of workshop play together kind of thing for the students that I do have, because I have some students who are here like all of the year, some students are here part of the year, but they need some opportunity to just like play in front of people, and they want to play in front of people. So one of the things I really wanted to do was collaborate with a local artist who plays a traditional instrument called an inanga. It's kind of like a harp, pretty similar, like a lap harp. And I've played with him a lot of times before because it works really well with violin. And it's kind of like, your instrument has strings, my instrument has strings, like, let's do something. So we often play traditional, or we feel like mixing it together with. So I thought it would be a really great way for my students to be able to do that. And part of their play together is also that they get to choose their own, oh yeah, there's a picture of a nyanga, but they get to choose a song or a piece of their own that they want to be able to kind of figure out and play. So that'll also maybe be an assignment for Deo, the Ananga player, that he can choose something that the kids can play with him or figure out how to collaborate with that. And I want to do it in either April or May, because it's kind of the end of the school year, but also it's during the commemoration period for the Rwandan genocide that happened from April to July in '94. So it's been over 25 years since then. So it used to be a really quiet time of the year where there wasn't a lot of music, but it has been changing from there's like kind of a week of observance, and then there are other like creative creative spaces and activities and things that happen to kind of honor the memory of people who passed during that time. So I'm kind of thinking about incorporating that into what we do for our concert and play together. And if we can incorporate some of Rhonda's pre-colonial music and things like that to kind of make it a celebration of Rhonda and the culture we're in, while also being a celebration of the cultures of all my different students. Yeah, I think that's about a summary of what's going on, or what I hope is going to happen.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, hopefully. So
Yeah. So we can make all of our events exactly how we want them to be and super, super meaningful and intentional. It doesn't just have to be like, this is a solo recital. There can be deeper meanings, and it really does add value to your studio, and the kids and parents appreciate it. I'm excited for it.
yeah, it'd be a good way to merge a European instrument stereotypically with Rhonda so that people feel that it's relevant to everyone and not just a certain group too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I had some more kids' books to share about inclusion. And these ones are, well, this one, the BU, I think I've shown you guys it before, but this is like another one that's like, be you, be unique. We love it. We want you to be yourself. Yeah, just a lot of self-worth stuff, which is, I think it's new in kids' books. They weren't in my kids' books. So I really appreciate these. And there's lots of representation in the terms of the kids. So this is another one that I feel like supports inclusion in the classroom. And I have two that you guys haven't seen yet. Joan from this time already saw this one, but I got two new ones from the library. And this is like a 2021 one, just published. And it's called Hold That Thought. If you've ever seen the book, What Do You Do with an Idea? It's kind of like that, but the kid is non-binary and has brown skin. So that's cool. That's another perk to me. And it's a book about a non-binary kid, but it's not about how the kid is non-binary. It's just like this kid goes by they, and their name is Finn, and they have a brother named Oscar. So Finn has an idea in the middle of the night, and the brother's like, hold that thought. Everything, there's no telling what it could turn into. So they go to school and share it with their best friend Seema, and Seema's like, yeah, you're onto something. And then she's telling her friend in the library, I mean, they're telling their friend in the library, forgive me. And then they go out in the playground, and then this kid, Otis, knocks the idea out of Finn's hand and is like, that doesn't look like an idea. This is what ideas have to look like, this. And Finn is like, what? Well, it starts to kind of lose its bigness and color, but then, and they feel kind of bad about it, but they look at it again, they look closer, and they see nothing wrong with it. And the idea was squiggly, rough, notch, soft, sparkly, and exactly how it should be. And that's kind of like when kids improvise, it's, just something. And Finn says, yes, exactly how it should be. Finn was sure of it. And Now Finn knew just what to do, and the idea whirled around as they held it out to the crowd. So they're sharing it now. And Oscar, the brother, was the first to lend a thought. The idea purred. Next came Seema, and the idea widened. Then Eleanor joined in. The idea multiplied. No one knew what they were making, but everyone wanted to be part of it. Everyone but Otis. So this is kind of like group collaboration, like on the spot improvising. Everyone.
I don't like Otis right now.
I know Otis is just conditioned like everyone else, though. The poor kid. Look at the body he was born into. He's definitely conditioned the hardest. So Otis clenched his fist around his idea and wondered how something so small could feel so heavy. When he turned it over, he felt something spin in his head, and the more he thought about it, the more his idea changed shape. He felt like he had, when he felt like he had something to share, Otis looked to Finn. So Otis, don't worry, this is Otis's process. It took Otis a little longer. Finn beamed as Otis's idea joined the others. Everything amazing started with an idea, and there was no telling where this one would go. So that's a good one. Hold that thought. And then speaking of inclusion and different gender representations, I found this new one. I think it's 2021 also. Imagination Press. Books for Kids from the American Psychological Association. It's called Jacob's School Play, starring he, she, and they. So it's just kind of like, yep, all of these gender pronouns exist, but it's done in a really sweet story. So they're doing a play, making all the stuff, and Ari is being water. And Jacob said, "Which water? Are you the cloud, rain, or pond?" "Yes," said Ari, "I am the water." Jacob frowned. "Miss Reeves, why does Ari get to play 3 parts? They don't have 3, just one, the water," Reeves says. Jacob looked at Sophie. She shrugged. Jacob dipped his brush in a tub of green paint and thought Ari was water. The water in the play was 3 things. Was that why Ari was they instead of he or she? "Ari, are you a boy or a girl?" asked Jacob. "There's more than just boy or girl," said Ari. Jacob switched to black paint as he worked on the tractor wheels. "You could be a boy or a girl and still wear whatever you want. I do. Sophie does." Because Jacob wears a dress, if you haven't noticed yet. And then Ari said, "So do I." Wears whatever they want. So then Jacob's like really thinking and thinking. And I love when there's books where you're like, okay, I got some actual talking points I can do in class, like off of Miss Reeves. So she sat down next to Jacob and said, "Are you confused about Ari?" Jacob nodded. "Well, some kids feel like boys, some kids feel like girls, and some kids feel like both or neither." So just remember.
Banana.
Yeah, can someone write this in the chat? Some kids feel like boys, some kids feel like girls, some kids feel like both or neither. In our classroom, we say he, she, or they when we talk about people. So that could be like, if you just say that sentence a lot and you're just talking, even like in your first orientation or the first group class and stuff, you can set the tone for the studio and the studio culture. And Jacob said, "Boys can wear dresses and be he. That's right, but that's different. This isn't about what you wear, it's about who you are inside. Who is Ari inside? From the outside, we can't see who anybody is on the inside, so we have to trust them when they tell us. That's another good line. Shanti. So then they do their show, and Jacob like has a moment in the middle of the play and says, "Our class is just like a farm. We all help each other grow. Everyone grows up to be what they're supposed to be, everybody in their own way." And then Jacob tells the teacher, "I'm glad Ari's they." "Why is that?" she whispered back. Jacob smiled. "Because they know who they are." Yeah, I love that one. And also another note about if
Never
you're
smiles again.
if you're reading a kid's book that doesn't have all the gender pronouns represented, you can always change stuff. And like as you're reading, that's what I do with my kids because they can't read yet. And I've been trying to post more kids' books on my Instagram. If you want to keep following, I will keep posting more and more books like this. Okay, so we are getting short on time. We're going to wrap up with equity pedagogy. And that's the idea of using our teaching practices to specifically nurture the skills that are needed for the world to change. So we looked at certain skills that a group of Detroit teachers came up with their research and chose our favorite ones and talked about what teaching strategies we could use to nurture our favorites. But being like, and the idea of talking about it to the parents and the kids all the time and letting them know, like, I'm not just doing, I don't care if you become the best violinist in the world, actually. I never did. Like, what I really care about is like us changing the world together and making it better and more beautiful and more equitable. And I know that these are the skills that we all need. So when they do a bunch of reps, you can say, wow, you showed so much resilience. You're such a great change maker. You just kept going, even though it was hard. And that's what we're going to need to change the world. I'm so glad to know you. I love watching it. Those kind of little things. And of course, the improv games are a practice to nurture innovation and metacognition. There's so many things that we already do that nurture these skills as Suzuki teachers and music teachers, and it's just like kind of just fleshing it out, like what your style is going to be or your favorite ones. So it just turns out like it's not just a music studio, it's so much more than that. And Ashanti is a product of that. So I asked her to perform for us because she's been through all the stuff that I talked about in GEMS. Like, she was receiving it and participating in it and collaborating in it and having the jazz artists come in 2016 when we all realized, like, oh, we all need to be improvising all the time. Do you want to say more, Ashanti, before you play? When did you start with DYB? With Detroit Spelling?
So I guess we started around 12 years ago. I was one of your first students. I remember
2010.
Yeah. One of our first lessons, I was really embarrassed when I got there because you made us take our shoes off so that we could do our feet thingies. And I had holes in my socks. And that morning, I specifically said, I hope I ain't got to take my shoes off. Yes. And then from there, I was like, dang. Now my grandma had to leave and go give me some more socks, but I still come back. I was a little embarrassed, but it was a little too fun of an opportunity.
Okay, so add socks to the list of materials for things we fundraise for. Cute socks.
No, just regular plain socks.
Okay.
No, but but I guess all of that just led to the freedom and just wanting to play regardless. A lot of my improvising, it comes from, well, first, not being able to sit down still and actually like engage in a piece of paper, especially when I was younger, that it was crazy. So if I wanted to play, I just had to play something because it wasn't going to be what y'all was trying to get me to do. True, but it kept me wanting to play. Even if I didn't know what to, I always had my own mind to go off of. So got a lot of that. And I'm glad I thought we was gonna go this whole class without playing, but I have my instrument out. And am I just improvising? I'm just hopping on because
What do you want to do? I was gonna say that you should play a song that you composed. I mean, you can improvise or you can do one that you composed or both.
I can't. Well, then, can I grab my guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot better.
But like, I want to like show this video of you talking because you're not saying what you said in the video. Wait, while you're getting your guitar ready.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Her school ended their music program without notice. Miss Clara's opportunity was the first and the only one that I had. I cannot imagine my life without music at all.
I got a job at the Capuchin Soup Kitchen and I worked there for 4 years before starting the violin program.
Getting quality violin education is definitely something that a lot of people don't have access to.
I try to create an opportunity every single week for the students to see themselves succeed.
Instead of getting
We lost the sound, Clara.
Hey, Clara, you're muted and we can't hear your video.
It's one of the things that made me want to write music. When I heard that I can play music, without playing their music, it sparked something in my heart.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to hear. Is like she found out she doesn't have to play other people's music. And so it resulted in I'm so proud.
Okay, so I already know a song I want to do, but I keep changing the chords between this other song that's in my head. Oh, I could. So I have this song. I guess last year I had wrote songs for like the holidays, not necessarily holiday. I wrote one around Black History Month for this time. The lyrics, if you listen to the lyrics, it's real. I guess you could interpret it into whatever you like. But I have another song. I guess one moment. I want to make sure.
Okay, I just put a survey link in the chat if anyone has to go for a lesson. Oh, okay.
My queen, she calls me my love. I give her my love in exchange for patience from me. She gives her patience to me. Yeah. She smiles throughout her ears, listening to the sound of my voice. I smile deeply through the teeth that she loves. Oh, for everlasting love. Trying not to look back at the damage. I fought and I lied and I tried for us. Despite all the times you hit us, and I know that it's tricky, getting your fingers all sticky and balancing the world. Oh, my queen, she calls me my love. Sorry, I thought I was gonna be playing my violin. That was one of I played that one because Valentine's Day just a couple of days ago, and I wrote that one for one of my exes, but it was one of the good ones. So hey, yeah. I don't know how much time I have. That was one of my favorite ones. But I do have a lot more recent ones. That one was really old. I hope you guys enjoyed it though. Some of my older pieces are some of my favorites. Cause I listen to them. I'll be like, every time I go back and I'm like, geez, they're just so good.
Thank you so
Should
much.
I?
Thank you.
Oh,
So beautiful.
thank you for listening.
Love it.
I can't believe you're so young. You're writing such beautiful, beautiful stuff already. When I was your age, like my stuff was real cringy. Like, like yeah, you're like coming. You're like you've got such a good head start. It's amazing.
I feel like Ashanti's generation has a much more mature musical sound because some of my students at Detroit School of Arts right now, like their composition and like musical production skills sound just so like better than anything I can create.
Any pianist, any person who plays piano at DSA, you hire them.
They're good. They're good. Ashanti, I think I have that song you just sang. I think that's one of the two I recorded for you that one time.
Ain't it? And you still holding my videos hostage.
I have them on my computer and I airdropped them to you, but I'll send them again.
And that means that she showed up or to pick you up and forced you to come to her backyard and record it. Like that's what it takes.
And I fed, we ate, we had dessert. We went to the macaron shop.
Yeah.
It was a fun day.
But we had to give Ashanti that message that she could write her own stuff for her to like do what she just did.
Yeah. They also once all tried to make me write down all of these things, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm doing a pretty good job at remembering it so far. But it really would have helped now that I've come up with the challenges that y'all try to help me avoid, because now I have to go through 900 videos of guitar, just all of these, just so many videos of guitar, just to find one song when the rest of them is just me going, oh, dang, wrong chord. It's a bunch of retakes. Yes. Oh, I thought that said, you are so bad. I'm like,
Bard. You are a bard.
I was like, oh, like, dang. Well, tell my Miss Clara, take yourself off mute. I feel like I'm too quiet.
I got the definition of bard in there.
Am I supposed to play another song?
I don't know. It's 10 minutes after we were supposed to.
Oh, we're all just here now.
I'm just like so excited about you and all the young people who are going to be making the new genres of the future, and all the teachers who have decided like we're not just going to make our kids play classical and say no outside rap. And we're going to be changing the rep and doing all the work to allow evolution of the human species.
My best friend, he's an artist. He does the drawing. You know Earl. He likes to freestyle. We freestyle together when we're bored. But like his vocabulary is like whatever words you could come up with that's good enough to explain how well his vocabulary is, you know? and when he raps like a old school back in the day, East Side Detroit, something, I don't know. He's real. He has a unique style, and I admire that when he raps, it's not whatever you hear nowadays. I know I sound like some old person, be like, "Oh, this nowadays rap, this ain't it." But sometimes it's not. Like, sometimes there's a difference between having fun in your music career and putting out a message. You know, some people, they forget the message in the song, but you know, I ain't tripping on other people's music because they doing it. They doing whatever they feel is best. But a lot of the stuff, you ain't gonna catch me listening to it because it's not feeding nothing that I really need to hear. You know, monkey see, monkey do, monkey hear, monkey listen. So, yeah.
So Marion just shared that Dr. Suzuki was constantly changing the rep, and the only criteria was that the students like to play it. So in the old days, they actually liked Allegretto and Andantino. Now they're like, those were like on the radio or something, and now everyone's like,
those are the two
or
songs.
they're just like, I can't do accents. Like, this is too hard. But I think things are going to be really changing, and I'm going to keep in touch with all of you, and I want you to keep in touch with me whenever something good happens or bad. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat so you can text me anytime, because I remember texting my teacher trainer all the time about little things, and yeah, or just tell me a joke every so often. Wait, where did Hanji go? Okay. So I am gonna blow out the candle. Try to keep you too long. Remind you about what this says. Humans are a product of their environment. So what environment are we gonna make in our own little studios? Because they're ours. We can do whatever we want. Thank you for teaching me. And stay engaged on the Facebook page and by email. And
Can you tell me where you got that beautiful watercolor behind you? Humans are.
This from Dr. Suzuki when I was 6 years old, and sent him a birthday card.
Oh.
And he mailed these back to everyone who gave him a birthday card, I guess. And it has his handwriting on the back. I'm in love with him. Like, he was a total activist, badass.
He was such a humanitarian and such an activist, and we can all just go out there and be like him.
And he smoked cigarettes too, Alexis.
Oh,
and
there we go.
Chocolate. And he also like meditated outside his student's store with his eyes closed to make sure he was like ready to give them what they needed that day. Okay. This is like always the moment at the end of Gems where everyone's like, do we have to just end? Like we've been together for 24 hours in the past 6 weeks. Literally.
Okay, so I'll jump off first. Everybody, it was such a pleasure to meet all of you. I know that you're going to go out there and change things for the better. I just know you will.
Can we do a high five?
Nice to meet you. Oh yeah, high fives.
Thank you.
Bye. Love you all.